Hi everyone, and welcome back to my booktube channel. I hope you're all doing well. Today's video is 24 books that I would like to read in 2024. We are middle of April, so it is a little bit late than what people usually do it, and people normally do it at the start of the year. But this is probably the first chance I've had to sit down and film it, and it was so hard to pick 24 books. My physical TBR is around like 300 books. So to narrow it down to just 24 was really hard to do, but I think I've managed it, so let's get into it. These are in no particular order whatsoever, they're just 24 books that I've picked and I'm just going to pull them one by one. So first up we have Happy Place by Emily Henry. This was in my book haul video from a couple of weeks ago, and I did say that I'm going to save it for summer, which I'm still going to do. But I've only read You and Me on Vacation by her, so this year I do want to try and read some more of her work. If I remember rightly, this follows a couple that have actually split up, but they still go on holiday together, and they still have to, they still pretend that they're still together whilst they're away, if I remember that rightly. Yeah, they broke up 6 months before they go away. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to this one. It will definitely be a summer book though, because it just screams summer to me. So that one we put up until probably August, maybe. Next up we have Wildfire by Hannah Grace. This is the second in the series of Maple Hills, I believe it's called. This is like the second book in the series after Icebreaker, but I don't necessarily think that it follows on exactly from Icebreaker. I think they can be read as standalones, but don't quote me because I might be wrong. I read Icebreaker, what year? 2022 I think, when it first came out, and it was on Kindle Unlimited. I read that straight away, loved it. There were a lot of characters in Icebreaker, so at some points it was hard to keep track of who's who, but apparently this one isn't as bad as that, so I'm looking forward to reading this. And then the third one has been announced as well, but I can't remember what it's called. I can't remember when it's coming out either, but I shall get that one too. Next up we have Shatter Me by Tahereh Mafi. I think that's how you pronounce her name. I'm including this, but I mean the whole series, even like the little novellas in between. I brought them at the beginning of the year. I don't know an awful lot about them. All I know is that Aaron Warner, that everyone loves, that's all over TikTok and stuff, is from this series. But what I can read from the back, it says that a girl is held captive and one touch from her can kill. So I think she's being used as a weapon. Next up we have Mad Honey by Jodi Picoult and Jennifer Finney Boylan. I've never read anything by either of these authors. I know that Jodi wrote My Sister's Keeper, which I absolutely love the film, but I've never read the book. I would actually quite like to get that. This follows a woman who wakes up and there is a dead body at the bottom of her stairs. It's an 18-year-old girl, and the only two people that know the truth of what happened is her son and the dead girl. It's dual point of view. The characters in it are Olivia and Lily. That's who the characters are between, so whether Lily is the girl that's dead, because some of them are like 3 weeks before, or not, I'm not sure. I think it's got quite mixed reviews, this book. I haven't heard an awful lot about it, but I think people either love it or hate it. Next up we have Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. I think that's how you pronounce her name. This is a classic book. This is the 80th anniversary edition. This year, well, from now on, I would really like to start reading more classics. I've never really read any. I think I read Frankenstein in school, and I think that's it. But this follows a woman who meets someone new. She ends up marrying him. She moves into his house, and literally all over the house she's just like haunted by his ex-wife. I'm pretty sure they're both called Rebecca, but I might be wrong. But that's pretty much all I know. I know that it's like a Netflix film or series now, and that is how I first learned about it. I was going to watch it, but then when I realised it was a book, I brought it and wanted to read it first. I've had it for over a year and I still haven't read it, so I really want to get to this year, read this, and then watch the series, film, whatever it is. And I love this cover. Look at it. Next up we have The Book Thief by Markus Zusak. I think that's how you pronounce his name. This is set in 1939, Nazi Germany. It follows a 9-year-old girl called Lysel. Her parents have been taken to a concentration camp and she steals books. And then I think this is like told from her perspective. It follows her as she goes through, as the war begins and stuff. I'm really looking forward to this. I haven't really read many books that follow like Nazi Germany, that kind of era. But yeah, I think this is going to be a good starting point. I'm really looking forward to this one. Next up, I'm including them as a pair. This is These Violent Delights and Our Violent Ends by Chloe Gong. These are Romeo and Juliet retellings, but fantasy. This has been on my TBR for like my TBR want pile for a really long time, and then I was gifted it in January, and then a couple of days ago this was on offer on Amazon, so I thought I might as well order it because I wasn't going to read this one until I had this one. But now that I have both, I can read both. I'm quite looking forward to this. I love the whole Romeo and Juliet thing, so I think this will be quite cool to read it from a different like perspective and a different genre as such. I was actually gifted this twice, so I gave the other copy to my best friend, so we might buddy read it. I don't think she knows that yet, but I'm telling her now, we might buddy read it. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to this one. Next up, another pair, but I'm classing them as one. Again, The Way I Used to Be and The Way I Am Now by Amber Smith. Again, this one I was gifted in January, this one I was recently gifted. And I did say I wasn't going to read this one until I had this one. So this one follows a girl, what's her name, Eden, who I believe suffers like SA. And then I think it's like her retelling her story and trying to move on from it, and then I'm guessing this one is her after. I haven't heard an awful lot about this one. This one doesn't get mentioned as much as this one. I think it's emotional. It's probably, well, it's definitely going to make me cry, I think, if it's as emotional as what I'm thinking it's going to be, because books always make me cry. But this will probably be like quite high on my to read pile, because this one is like, I've wanted to read it for so long, and now I finally have both. I can crack on with that. Speaking of books that are going to make me cry, next up we have A Little Life. This is obviously a book that I really want to read, but I have no idea when I will get to it. I've heard a lot of people say if you're not in a good place mentally, emotionally, do not read it yet. Wait until you're in like a good place, a good mindset before you read it, because it is really meant to be heartbreaking. It follows a man, just to put in, look at that, like top to bottom, tiny writing. And how many pages is this? 720. So I think it follows a man that like basically documents his life. I think he like suffers abuse. I think it just like the most like horrendous things that could happen do happen to him, and this is him like recounting that story. Like I say, I do not know when I'm going to get to this. I hope to get to it at some point this year. It's one of them books that I'm not like anxious about reading, but I am just a little bit apprehensive about reading it at the same time. Probably just because it's so daunting. I know it's going to be a hard read. I know it's going to be heartbreaking. So that's not really what it is. I don't know, it's just big, daunting. I'm not sure when I'm going to get to it, but hopefully at some point this year. Next up we have Girl, Goddess, Queen by Bea Fitzgerald. This is a Hades and Persephone retelling. This is a bit different from the normal ones because this is told from the perspective of Persephone jumps into the underworld instead of being kidnapped. She's on a mission. She's trying to take down Olympus, Mount Olympus, and she ends up jumping into the underworld, and she ends up falling in love. I did not know this was on here. This is the first time I've actually opened it. Up, like, took the dust jacket off, I mean. And this is the inside. Really looking forward to this. I've read like Greek mythology in the past and I do enjoy it, but I think this will be my first ever Hades and Persephone retelling. Yeah, I think this one will be good, just for the like aspect of her jumping instead of being kidnapped. I can't wait to see where this takes us. Next up we have Normal People by Sally Rooney. This isn't a new book, it's popular but it's not new. I've had it for quite a while. The only thing that's put me off from reading it so far is there are no like speech quotations when the person is talking. It follows Connell and Marianne. It's set in Ireland. They both go to the same school. Connell is popular, Marianne is a bit of a loner, but then they strike up a conversation one day and I think they try and stay apart afterwards, but they can't. They just find themselves not being able to. So that's literally all I know. I know there's a lot of people that absolutely love this book. Are there no chapters in this? Oh yeah, there is. That had me even more worried then. I didn't think there was any chapters, but there is. So yeah, so there's no like speech quotations on anything, like when anyone's speaking. It's just literally, let's see what the first page is. So if you see there, it's, I don't know why you can see that, it kind of just says like, and I hear you did very well, she says. So I don't think it's going to be hard to follow, but speech quotations just make everything easier, don't they? But yeah. Next up we have another part of the series. Again, I'm including the whole series. There's 3 books. This is Things We Never Got Over by Lucy Score. There's also Things We Hide from the Light and The Things We Left Behind, I think the other one's called. Small Town Romance, I believe. Knox Bad Boy. What's her name? Naomi? I've only read Maggie Moves On by Lucy Score. It's the only book of hers that I've read so far. I know everyone loves this. The middle one they don't really like, and then the last one they love. I'm not sure who the 3 couples are, but yeah, I think it's time I finally read this. I've had it for quite a long time now, and it's one of them series where I've brought all of them before I've even picked up the first one to read. Next we have a book that I'm probably not most excited for, but I am really, really excited for this one. This is Fair Rosalind by Natasha Solomons. This is kind of a Romeo and Juliet retelling, but it's like before he met Juliet, he loved Rosalind. Look at this cover. Isn't it beautiful? I don't see this talked about anywhere, literally. Never read any other books by her. I've never seen any of the other books by her. But we have a little map at the start. But yeah, literally haven't heard anything about this, haven't seen anyone read it, talked about, nothing. But I'm really, really, really looking forward to this. I think it'll be quite fun, but I guess we'll find out. The greatest love story of all time was a lie. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this one. I can't wait. Next up we have Love Redesigned by Lauren Asher. I have read, what's it called, the Dreamland Billionaire series by her. I haven't read her original series, the Dirty Air series I think it's called, with like Throttled, and I haven't read any of them. I love this cover. I love the Dreamland Billionaire series. I thought that was really good. They're all kind of like similar. I feel like this is very similar to Final Offer, the last one in that series. I feel like it's got the same kind of storyline. Enemies to lovers, I think it's like second chance romance, all them kind of tropes together. Yeah, it follows Julian and Dahlia. They're like enemies to lovers, all that kind of thing. But yeah, number 2 comes out very, very soon. Next up we have The Scarlet Veil by Shelby Mahurin. We've got sprayed edges. This, again, I haven't heard an awful lot about. I was in Waterstones and I saw this cover, the sprayed edges, and I was like, yeah, that's mine, I'm taking it with me. Before I even knew anything about it, really. So this follows a woman called Celie who is becoming a huntswoman. And it basically says that like her fiance and her family are trying to keep her from like a darkness, but it's coming for her anyway. So I think it's fantasy. I don't know whether it's like vampires, monsters, I'm not too sure. But I literally just picked it up because, like, look at them. I couldn't just walk away and leave that in the shop. That would be just like criminal. So yeah, I picked it up and took it with me. But I'm looking forward to it. It looks quite dark and gothic and I'm all about that. Next up we have Caraval by Stephanie Garber. Again, I'm including this. So Caraval, Legendary and Finale, I think they're called. This follows like a master legend. He hosts Caraval once a year, I believe, and you can only go if you've been invited. The prize, like, for taking part is you get one single wish, and that's what everyone is like competing for. But it says there's dangers, hiding, so I'm guessing some people are like battling as they're trying to get to the wish, and it says it's not without loss, so I'm guessing some people are going to die. But yeah, looking forward to this. There's like a map inside, and it starts off with like letters and stuff like that. So yeah, I don't know what year this is supposed to be set in. It doesn't say what year it's set in, but Caraval. And then to follow on, again by Stephanie Garber, is the Once Upon a Broken Heart series. I don't really know that much about this, I just know that it's raved about. So this follows Evangeline, who believes in happily ever afters. She loves that kind of thing. The man that she's in love with is set to marry someone else, and she finds out about it, so she enlists the help of the King of Hearts to try and stop the wedding, I guess. I don't know, but he in exchange wants 3 kisses at whenever he chooses, basically. That's all I know. I only have the first 2. The second one is The Ballad of Never After, because the third one isn't out on paperback yet, so I probably won't read this series until the third one comes out. I don't think you have to read this like directly after Caraval. I don't know if they're like interconnected, but I know that a lot of people do read this series right after Caraval. Following on with wanting to read classics, we have The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde. This follows obviously a man called Dorian Gray, who is meant to be like devastatingly beautiful, handsome, but he's very arrogant, self-absorbed, and he does not want to age. So he has like a painting done of himself, and he essentially like, I don't want to say sells his soul, but essentially like sells his soul, and he starts doing bad, like unspeakable things, and as he's doing it, his painting, like his portraits, actually age instead of him, and he becomes obviously like in his portraits really ugly, that kind of thing. Quite a few years ago they released a film of this, and I absolutely loved the film. It was one of my favourite films for quite a while actually. but I don't know what happened to my copy, and it's been a really long time since I've watched it. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to reading this one. Next up we have The Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern. Obviously she wrote The Night Circus. I also have that. I haven't read it. But this follows Zachary, who stumbles across like a book that contains his own life in it. Following the clues inside, he is guided to a masquerade ball, a dangerous secret club, and finally to an ancient subterranean library. What Zachary finds in this curious place is more than just a buried home for books and their guardians. It is a place of lost cities and seas, lovers who pass notes across time, and stories are whispered by the dead. But when the library is threatened, Zachary must race through its twisting tunnels and sweetly soaked shores, searching for the end of his story. I love this cover. Look at that. I'm really looking forward to this. I'm also looking forward to The Night Circus. They're not like connected. They're not follow-ons or anything like that. But I don't know which one I'm going to read first. I know that I do definitely want to get to this at some point. But whether I read The Night Circus first or not, I still haven't decided. But yeah, I just love this cover as well. So pretty. Next up, again, part of a series, Binding 13 by Chloe Walsh. Number 5 has recently just come out. I think there's number 6, but I'm not sure when it's coming out. So I am including the series in this. They are very big books, all of them. I think this one is 800 pages, is it? 789, so not far off, but they all are very big. I think one of them is over 800 pages. Yeah, so this is the Boys of Tommen series. I think each of them follows a different couple, or I think each couple has 2 books. That's pretty much all I know. I first heard about this from Larry Reads. She's probably my favourite booktuber, and she absolutely loves this series. She talks about it quite often. She says it's one of her favourites. It's emotional, it's going to make me cry. I don't think I've ever seen like a bad review about these books. But yeah, I think these are going to be quite time consuming given the size of them, so I need to find a time to read them where I do have spare time just to sit back and read. Next up we have The Nightingale by Christine Hanna. In my book haul video from a couple of weeks ago, you'll see that I got The Winter Garden, and I was saying that this was the book that of hers that I wanted to read first. So I ordered it the other day on Amazon, mainly so I could get this video filmed, because I know that I wanted to include this. But I'm really looking forward to this. This is probably the one that I'm looking forward to the most out of these 24 books. But this follows 2 sisters separated by years and experience. It's basically told from what it's like to be a woman during World War II, but it's told from like both women, so both their stories. Yeah, so I'm really looking forward to this one. I feel like I might take it to hospital with me next month when my daughter has her surgery, because she's just going to be asleep most of the time afterwards. But I've heard it's quite emotional, and I don't know if I want to be sat in hospital like crying my eyes out while I'm reading it, because I feel like that might look a little bit like pull yourself together love kind of thing. But I don't know, I do want to read it soon, so I am tempted, but we'll see. Next up we have The Serpent and the Wings of Night by Carissa Broadbent. This follows Araya, who is the adopted human daughter of a vampire king. She has to enter basically a tournament to prove herself as being more than prey, basically. That's pretty much all I know. I do have them on my Kindle. I have the first and the second because they're on Kindle Unlimited, but I wanted it in hardback, so I only have the first one at the minute. This is another contender to possibly take to hospital with me next month, but I'm not sure. Next we have another pair, really popular. Everyone's already read them by now. I'm just really late to the party. So we have Fourth Wing and Iron Flame by Rebecca Yarros. Obviously it follows Violet. It's fantasy. It's like different quadrants, and I think there's like a battle. I don't know whether it's like a tournament kind of thing. I've tried to avoid all spoilers about this. I know that it ends on a cliffhanger, so I'm going to have to read Iron Flame straight afterwards, but I have heard that Iron Flame isn't anywhere near as good as this one. But yeah, these are another contender to possibly take to hospital, but I'm a bit apprehensive in case I don't like them. And then lastly, I've only got the first book, but I mean the whole series, ACOTAR, A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J Maas. I've read this, I read this last summer, and I read about half of, what's it called, A Court of Mist and Fury. Loved this. It's a little bit slow, it's like world building in the first one. The second one I did love, but it was kind of right book, wrong time, which is a very real thing, very frustrating thing. But yeah, there was just too much going on in my house at the time when I was trying to read it. Like, I had my kids off school, my house was like, I was having rooms plastered and stuff, and there was just way too much to read it. Like, I just wasn't absorbing it as I was reading it. So again, at some point this year I do want to reread. I think I'm going to try and vlog reading them. I will reread this one just so everything is fresh in my mind. I remember like the majority of the story, but there's certain parts that I won't fully remember, so if I give it a reread I'll be fresh to go into A Court of Mist and Fury, because I will start that again from the beginning as well. But yeah, this, obviously I have the whole series. I have the first two Crescent City books because they're on paperback, so I can't get the third one until that comes out. But I don't own Throne of Glass yet, so I do need to get that series, because I think if you read this one first, then read Throne of Glass, and then read Crescent City. I mean, obviously you can read them in whatever order that you want, but I think people say to read them in that order for it to make the most sense, kind of. So yeah, I will probably read this. I don't know when I'm going to get Throne of Glass series. I'm a little bit apprehensive about that one, because I don't know if I'm going to enjoy it as much as I know that I'm going to enjoy these, because I've already read this one and part of that one, and I did really enjoy them. So I don't know, but I do need to get the Throne of Glass series to read after this, I think. Whether that will be this year or next year when I read them, I don't know. But this series, I am really looking forward to giving it a reread. But yeah, obviously it's all fantasy. Most people have read this series by now. But like I say, I started it, didn't finish it, so I will at some point this year, and I'll hopefully vlog it as I do it. So if you've watched the whole video, thank you. Please like and subscribe if you would like to. I do really appreciate it. Let me know in the comments which of these you've read, which are on your TBR. If you have read them, which are your favourites. I think The Nightingale is probably the one I'm looking forward to getting to the most. That and Fair Rosalind, I think. But yeah, if you have read any of them, please let me know which ones you loved, which ones you didn't like, anything like that. Take care everyone, thank you for watching, bye.